Welcome to the It's Someone You Know show, a series presented by the Council on Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence. I'm Heidi Ranking, the host of the show, and today we're going to talk about sexual assault, as April is recognized nationally as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. In the studio with me today is Jan Grossnickle. Jan, welcome.
Thank you.
And Jan is a sexual assault coordinator at CSADV. Thanks very much for being with me today.
Thank you.
Now, your focus down at CSADV is helping sexual assault victims. Now, is that something that's pretty prevalent right here in Siouxland?
Yes, it is. We've, the last fiscal year, we served almost 200 sexual assault victims. So it is very prevalent here in the community.
And that's just right here in Siouxland community?
Yes.
Now, what are some of the myths or maybe some misconceptions about sexual assault?
Several of the myths. One in particular is that people oftentimes believe that sexual assault occurs by strangers or people that jump out and grab them, and statistics show that most sexual assaults are done by people that know the perpetrator.
Really? Okay.
And another one is that women who are married cannot be sexually assaulted, which that's not true. They can be as well, and they have a right to refuse to have sexual intercourse with their partners if they choose to do that. And another one is that when people think about sexual assault, they generally think of just rape. Sure. And it is about sexual harassment, unwanted touch, exploitation, it can be obscene phone calls. So there's a lot of different kinds of sexual assault that occurs. And the other one is that oftentimes people believe that someone will call rape and say they've been raped, and it's a false allegation, but the reality is only 2% of reported rapes are false.
Wow.
Only 2%. Matter of fact, it's the most underreported crime that there is.
So what should someone do if they have been sexually assaulted?
If they've been sexually assaulted, the best thing to do is get to a safe place. Many times victims will call the police or go to the police station, or they will go to the hospital. Another thing is they can call CSADV. They have a right to have an advocate with them when they're with the police or at the hospital as well.
And that is something that CSADV can provide?
Yes, we have trained advocates that are certified in sexual assault and domestic violence as well. So, and when we're down there, we give a lot of emotional support and tell them what's going to happen, et cetera. So, and we also here in Siouxland, we have a SART-SANE program, which is Sexual Assault Response Team, Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner program. So we work collaboratively with the 2 hospitals here in Sioux City and the law enforcement within the tri-state areas of both the city police officers and the county police sheriff's office. So we work collaboratively together with helping the victim. That the main focus is to help that victim get through the traumatic event.
Sure. Now, what are some tips or maybe some suggestions that you have for helping reduce the risk of maybe being a victim of sexual violence?
For the first thing is always thinking safety, being aware of their surroundings, not leaving a party with someone that they really don't know, deciding how much a person is going to drink, or watching their glass if they're out at the bar. Walking with confidence is always a good thing, because if you look as though you're confident and not, then you probably aren't going to be as likely to be targeted. Decide ahead of time about drinking, I mentioned that, but also know that perpetrators will groom someone. That means that they'll make some verbal comment to that person, and they're looking to see what their response is, and then they may come back and make another comment, and then eventually what they're trying to do is get that person isolated.
And this is something that could happen to any woman, any age.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. Well, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We mentioned that a little earlier. What are some of the things that CSADV is going to do to maybe recognize that, and what can the community do to show support for you guys?
We have, we're going to have several displays in various libraries, public libraries throughout Siouxland, and we've created a bookmark that we're going to have available at the libraries and take them to the schools. We've also have some presentations planned for the community, both civic and as well as at the colleges. And then the City Council and County Supervisors are declaring April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month through the proclamations. And how people can support is become educated about the facts of sexual assault and domestic violence, or especially about sexual assault, because this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Speak out against sexist jokes and
Sure.
physical gestures, and they can volunteer their time and financial support as well.
Now, for more information for CSADV, there's maybe a website or a phone number. Could you give those to us?
Sure. Our 1-800 number is 1-800-982-7233, or locally our number is 712-258-7233, or they can go online to our website, which is www.safefromabuse.com.
Okay. Now, we've covered a lot of things today about April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but some of the programs that CSADV offers, it's a wide variety, maybe some things people don't even know that are offered right here in Siouxland. Let's cover a couple of those. I think the very first thing, the very most important thing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year, you guys are available to help right here in Siouxland.
Yes.
And maybe you do that through that 24-hour crisis line.
That line is answered 24 hours, 7 days a week by a certified
Wow.
advocate. Yes. Yes. And so oftentimes people call for information,
Okay.
or if they've been assaulted, then they're just wondering what to do, and so we give them that options of what's available to them, and we always offer an advocate to go with them if they want.
And very non-threatening. You can just
Right.
call for information, or
Yep.
you can call to report something, to talk to somebody, and to
Yes.
get help.
Yes.
And
yes.
last year alone, nearly 5,000 calls on that crisis line. That's just right here in Siouxland.
Yes.
Another one, you talked about advocacy and accompaniment. Tell us a little bit more about that.
For advocacy and accompaniment, that's both medical and legal. So anytime a victim is involved with the medical system, they have a right to have an advocate with them.
Okay.
Or talking to a law enforcement person, or the county attorney's office, or if they're going to go to court. We're not lawyers, but we go for giving them emotional support.
Well, I'm sure it's a very scary situation, and to have somebody
Yes.
else in the room with you, just to help you another set of ears to listen and to talk
Right.
you through it is probably very helpful.
Yes.
Counseling and support groups, you guys must do a lot with that.
Yes, we do individual counseling for people that are in and out of shelter. The shelter is also utilized by sexual assault victims as well. Sometimes it happens in their home, and they just want to be in the shelter until they find a different bed maybe, or they don't want to be alone, so they'll
Sure.
come to shelter until other arrangements are made for them. But the groups, they have groups for sexual assault victims as well.
Okay. Community education, you guys do a little bit of everything.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of programs in the schools. For the elementary schools, we do the preschool. We do a lot of Happy Bear programs.
Okay,
That's
sure.
called Good Touch, Bad Touch. And then we do the Bully Proof program in the middle schools, Flirting and Hurting in the high schools, and then we do presentations on the college campuses as well.
And you can also talk to civic groups, professional groups, pretty much anybody that calls in, maybe wants you guys to give a presentation to, you guys are definitely willing to do that.
Right, exactly. If someone wants us to present at one of their groups, they certainly can call.
And community outreach, you guys have other offices.
Yes, we have an outreach office in Lamar's, and one down at the Sioux City Police Department as well.
Okay.
And then we have multicultural outreach team, a faith community outreach team, and a SAVE, which is Students Against Violence Everywhere.
And we talked a little earlier about collaborating with the police, legal. You guys do all of that also,
Yes.
the community collaboration. We talked a little bit about the SAFE shelter. You mentioned it just a few minutes ago. But that shelter is right here in Siouxland and is available to anybody that needs it, again, 24 hours a day,
Right.
7 days a week.
Absolutely. They just need to call and let us know what their situation is, and then we make a safety plan to help them come to shelter, or we will make arrangements to get them to shelter.
And maybe the next step with that, your transitional living service. If someone's been in the shelter, tell us about that.
The Transitional Living Services is a new program, and it's to help them after they've been through the initial crisis, to help them become self-sufficient, because oftentimes they've lost items, or they just are having a hard time getting reestablished. So that program is for them to do that.
Well, a lot of times too, if they've left for the safety in an emergency, they've left their house.
Right.
They might need a place to live, to start
Exactly.
rebuilding their lives. And we talked once before on one of the other segments that sometimes the kids are leaving without their backpacks and all their toys. And so that is
Yes.
an incredible program to get everybody back on their feet.
Yes, exactly.
And the volunteer program. You guys do a lot, and you depend a lot on volunteers.
We do. We have a lot of volunteers. We train volunteers about 2 or 3 times a year, and they have a choice of doing direct or indirect service. And we really are appreciative of the volunteers. Some of them are on call, so they also go out to the hospitals, or they might do some filing, or they might watch children. So there's just a lot of different, they help with some of our fundraising things, and so they're very beneficial, and we truly appreciate them.
That's great.
Yeah.
And before we have to sign off for tonight, CSADV, just some numbers at a glance. In the year 2007 alone, nearly 5,000 crisis calls were answered, and that's right here in Sioux City. 256 women and 251 children were sheltered. 7,932 nights were provided in that safe shelter. And again, that is just right here in Sioux City. And despite all those numbers, no one was ever turned away if they were in an unsafe situation. I think that is incredible. And again, this is all right here in Sioux City.
Yes.
Do you have that website and phone numbers maybe one more time for us?
Yes. That 1-800 number is 1-800-982-7233 or 712-258-7233, or go online at www.safefromabuse.com.
Perfect. Jan, thank you so much for joining me
Thank you.
tonight. And thank you all for watching It's the Someone You Know show. The chances are very great that domestic violence and sexual assault is affecting someone that you know right here in Siouxland, a mother, a sister, a coworker, maybe even your best friend, but we guarantee it is someone that you know. Now, we're fortunate to have a place like CSADV right here in Siouxland to help the victims of these terrible crimes. So do what you can to help out. I'm Heidi Ranking, and thanks for watching.